I'm April Pettyjohn, and this is Follow the Leader Homeschool Education. Okay, welcome back, everybody. We just had too much amazing content to cover that we could not cut it all down to one episode. So we are here with doing episode number 2, talking with Christina. Well, actually, it's episode 16, but part 2, talking more about yearly rhythms, vision and mission. But before we get started, I always love to do something personal with our guests, like just so you guys can get to know them a little bit more, let their personality shine. So I told Christina, I was like, let's talk about something embarrassing we've done this week because I have so many. And she's like, I don't really get embarrassed. So that's not a great question for me. I was like, oh, okay. She goes, ask me what my hype song is. So Christina, what is your hype song?
Okay, it's not one particular song, but it's just the whole soundtrack of Hamilton. That is my go-to. Like,
so shocking to me.
Why is that so shocking?
Because it doesn't. Musicals don't feel like a hype to me.
Oh man, have you listened to the Hamilton soundtrack?
I haven't.
Oh,
I know.
Okay, that's why it's shocking.
It's fine.
That's why you don't know.
I don't know what I don't know.
You don't know.
And I am a musical fan. I do. Wicked is my jam. But I will now. I will go and listen.
Yes.
I'll get back.
Yeah, I will send you a few songs that really get me hyped up. I was actually listening to them on the way here.
Okay. Yeah. But I said my hype would be like early 2000s club.
I love it.
And you knew.
Ja Rule.
As soon as I said
Ludacris.
it, you jumped right in. So if I really want to get hyped up to like do my best cleaning.
Yes. Our age is showing.
That's where it's at. I'm fine with that.
Me too. I love it.
The best era.
Yes.
All right. So last time we kind of left off with you were making me cry because we were talking about vision versus mission. If you didn't listen to that episode, like really stop right now and don't listen to any more of this.
Okay.
Until you go back and listen to that because it will impact you.
And it'll make more sense too.
It will. Yeah. Yes. It'll give you some context for what we're getting ready to talk about. So I asked if you could give us thoughts on a yearly rhythm and what that looks like for you. So last time you talked about how you guys kind of go seasonally and you have these times of rest and then you have these seasons where you're really like working hard. I had told you earlier that Rusty has been so kind and he gives me a full day every summer to kind of like plot out my year. And I'm talking like a full day, like 12 hours.
That's amazing.
He will take the kids the entire time. And last year, I printed off everything that I was going to need for them. Like I had lessons planned out like to the day. Now,
was there follow through?
You just need to hear. They were all there in a beautiful binder with lovely labels. I did a lot of them, but I did not do all of them. It was not 100%.
And that's okay.
And that is okay. I got off course, but when I was ready to get back on, it was there and it was already done.
That's a win for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does your like yearly planning look like?
Okay. So funny, when we were kind of talking about this before, she had said to me, she was like, I feel like you're so much more organized than me. And I'm like, I think that's funny that you think that because I actually am not super organized in that. I feel like I have a really strong pulse on what my eternal and educational objectives are, and I pull from that.
I feel like you're mentally organized. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like you have a great idea of where you're headed. Like, you're very strong in that, and I feel very scattered in that. I feel like it changes a lot in my mind.
I can see what you're saying. Yes, physically, I'm probably not as organized, but mentally, thank you for that compliment. Yeah. I do feel very strong. I have a very strong vision and mission. I know where I'm going. I know what my eternal objectives are. I know what my educational objectives are. And so using that as my framework, that is really just like a guide, like a roadmap for me when I am entering into a new year. So mindset is actually really important as you're planning. And I think a lot of people undermine that. A lot of people are like wanting the process. They are wanting the physical curriculum in front of them. And they undermine what that mindset looks like. And so if you are moving into planning and you're moving into what is the fall going to look like, what is the year going to look like, the first thing that I would actually have you do is kind of just not only establish your vision and your mission, but just kind of pull back and like, what is your mindset, right? And one of the most simplest things that you can do is just manage your expectations. That's right. Good. So kind of like what you were saying, like this is what I had planned. and this is what we got done. And then when I went to go back on it, it was already there. That is a perfect example of having an understanding of your mindset of like, okay, you know what? I'll get done what I get done. I'm managing my expectations, and we'll just see where that goes. And that actually is what will help bring more peace and joy on your journey, because you're not going to be operating from a fear mindset. You're just going to be moving forward in a growth mindset.
Yeah. And I want to give some freedom too, to especially those like veteran homeschool moms. I mean, you're way more vetted than I am. And I've been homeschooling we just finished up year number 7. Okay. And I feel like going into each year, it has looked different for me every single year. So if you tend to be that person that you're like, well, I've always done it this way. Well, I've always planned things out this way. But listening to this, you're feeling that little tug to change something and to do something different. Like, I just want to encourage you to press into that, because there's really freedom in that, and allowing yourself to not have to be bound to what you've always done.
Yeah, I actually love that you said that, because when I work with moms, that we want like a formula. We want a recipe. We want like, okay, this is how I get banana bread. This is how I get a well-rounded child. This is how I get a child that knows how to diagram, right? We want a recipe, but guess what? Our children, they don't come with recipes. They don't come with, manuals or anything like that. And they're all different, and they're growing, and we're growing. We're not the same as we were yesterday. And we're doing great. Like, our kids are moving. We have momentum. We're feeling so much joy. But maybe our kids are evolving, or maybe you're adding another baby to the mix, and your dynamic is shifting, right? And that process is no longer life-giving. It's just good. Sometimes it's flat out bad. Sometimes it is. But the difference really that I want to hit on, though, is that good is holding you back from thriving, right? So it's okay to step into something new and something different if you're going to thrive. And you can apply that. That's applicable for any part of your life, right? Even this for you, like moving into something, it was probably hard to, start this podcast and move into something and follow your dreams and be obedient, but it has become a source of like a life-giving source for you, right? Yeah. And so just being in tune with what's going on in your homeschool and in your family dynamic and in your season is really important.
Well, and it's critical to teach your kids how to do that well, how to manage their expectations and how to manage their time well. You've probably read it. I think it's Lisa TerKeurst. I may have to, I don't know if it is Lisa. Anyways, her book is The Best Yes.
I know what you're talking about. Yes. I haven't read it, but I know what you're talking about.
So really it was life-changing for me, because I am definitely a yes person. I like to say yes to as many things as I can, but I was over saying yes to really good things. Yeah. Things that were really good, things that were godly things.
Yes.
But they weren't the best yes. They weren't the best yes for me or for my family all the time. And so for our kids to be able to see us make the best choice over good choices, right, and being able to pivot and change, that's huge for them.
It really is. And that also ties back into your vision and your mission, because when things pop up, I'll share a personal experience. A few years ago, I used to do classical conversations with my children, and I still love classical conversations. We're not a part of it anymore, but it has nothing to do with anything. I just found something that was a better fit for our family, and that fit my vision better. But I was a part of classical conversations, and this new program popped up in my area that's more, it's a nature school, right? And for us at that time, we only have so much time and so much money to steward, right? And so as I was coaching myself, I'm like, okay, Christina, like, what are we going to do here? Classical conversations is great. I knew it well. I knew we had community there, but I really just felt like at that point for us specifically, it had become good. And I was like, I feel like that this nature school is going to be something that's going to be more life-giving, because it hits more of the things in my vision and my mission. Right. And we've been doing it for 4 or 5 years now. And honestly, it is the best thing.
It's so great.
that I have added to our homeschool. And Laura, the founder of it, she's incredible. She also has a few books. Check them out. They're actually called Nature School. I love them. Very easy to teach from. Stephanie Hathaway designs them. They're so good.
So good.
But that was something for me that I was moving towards something that had just become good for us personally and moved into something that was life-giving. But if I didn't let go of that, if it was like, well, we always do this, then we would have missed out on this over here.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. So I am thinking about the mom who is very new to homeschooling,
right?
Or maybe hasn't even started yet, but they're anticipating starting this fall.
Right.
So can we get really practical for a second and just talk about like, what does it look like for you to plan out? Like, do you have a physical planner? Are you writing down every lesson? Are you planning 6 months in advance? The whole year at a time?
Right.
What do they do?
That is such a great question, and it's so loaded. So I'm going to give you a few ideas that I feel like are the most simple ideas. And this, for people, especially if you're new, it is going to be a refinement process, but this is going to kind of maybe put you in the right direction.
They just need a starting point, somewhere to start, because it is very overwhelming.
So what I like to do is I like to sit down and do something called a calendar approach. So again, kind of zooming out, just like I like to do with the vision, I pull way back and I write down each month. I like to write things. Like, I don't like to type it. I like to write it.
Same.
And so that's why it's taking me forever to write a book, because I want to write it versus type it, and I have to type some of it. Anyways.
Oh, you should publish it in your handwriting.
Oh, that would actually be hard because nobody would be able to read it.
Doctor writing.
I know, right? I'm like, isn't it good? They're like, what does it say? Anyways, I like to zoom out and look at this calendar approach. So I have some things that I like to do every year. And as my kids have grown, we either dig a little deeper or we shift a little bit. So for example, in August, I basically block out the whole month of August as a review month. Okay. And so I kind of hit a little bit harder on some of the things that we learned I'm in, quotes, last year, because we really homeschool all year round. Right. And so it's just, some of the last concepts that we were kind of hitting harder on. And we review those. I also, if I know I want to have new content, I'll start slowly giving it to them. If you take anything away from this practicality that I'm about to tell you, I want you to take away technically two things. I want you to focus on zooming out and seeing what your whole year is going to look like. I want you to leave room. But I also, it's really important to layer. I feel like so many people are like, okay, we're going to learn about bugs this year. I'm going to water hose you and tell you everything there is to know about bugs. And it's like, listen, guys, we're going to learn about this over and over again based off of the maturation of their brain, based off of, just how things come around and integrate. It's okay to give a few objectives. So what I'll do is I'll sit down and let's say I like to learn also about space in the summer because it's applicable, because it's warm. We can go outside. We can look at the stargazing. Yes. Look at the constellations. But if I have a little kid, right, and I'm going to learn about space, and let's say I have 3 kids. I have a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. For space, I'm going to have educational objectives that I want for each of them, and they're going to look different, but they're going to be similar. So for my oldest one, let's just say I'm going to pick 3, right? I'm going to want them to know that we are heliocentric versus geocentric. That means that we go around, depending on your beliefs. Maybe if you're a flat earth, it might be different. But heliocentric means that we believe that we go around the sun. And then geocentric would be the opposite, right? So that would cause you to kind of look a little bit more into those types of things. I might want them to know all of the planets, right? And be able to name them in order. And then I might want them to know 3 constellations, right? And for my 5-year-old, I might want them to really know maybe the first 4 planets, right? And also that we're heliocentric, and maybe be able to pick out 1 constellation. Now, you'll be surprised. Your kids will be able to pick up more than this. I'm just giving an example. But just catering and curating it to their age, you can use the same content to have them all learn the same thing, but just curate it a little bit differently for them academically and individually.
Right. That's so good. All right. And so mine might look a little different than yours, which I love that. And that's one of the things that I love about homeschooling so much is just the freedom within it, which, like you said earlier, it can be a good, it can be a bad, because a lot of freedom to some people is scary and is overwhelming, because it is like, how do I hone this down where do I start? And so that's where I think it's so critical what you've spoken to so well about defining your vision, defining your mission, because that really will guide all of the other areas and all of the other things that you're trying to do. So my planning process looks a little different. Like I said, Rusty gives me that full day, which is just amazing. And I really like focus in. I use our cycle that we're going through because we do classical conversations. And so I do have that weekly guide, and I really try to play into what I already have. So I'm like, okay, what do I already have? I don't need to reinvent the wheel. Obviously, I'm going to write down like our goals for math lessons, and that's easy peasy. But when I can pull out, a lot of times the history sentence for the week will align with where we are in the timeline. Sometimes it lines up nicely, and that's wonderful. Same with science. But then I'm going to go and pull resources that are lining up with those things. Right. So if the science sentence is like classifications of living things, then that's where we can make a trip to the library. Absolutely. Or we can actually see them in person at the aquarium. And then while we're there, we're drawing things, we're writing things. But I like to use what I have. So CC has timeline cards. So the kids memorize from the beginning of the world until now. It's a memorization of the timeline. And something to me that is so beautiful about that is I love seeing how history at that exact same time, just putting those two things together and marrying them has been like really huge for my biblical learning, right? And bringing that God-centeredness into our education.
I think that is absolutely wonderful. And honestly, even though we don't participate in a CC community, a classical conversations community, we actually still do the timeline at home. Yeah. And when you said you're very passionate and, strong about the biblical history and history, same. It's actually not just an educational objective that we have. It's an eternal objective, because I think it's so important to know historically and biblically what is going on and how you can, relationally understand like this was happening at this time and this was happening. It makes it all make sense. And so I absolutely love that. And I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about the Wonders of Wildlife. Yes. I love that museum too. The museum
portion is so awesome. And it's just full of amazing information.
It actually sounds like we do something really similar. We just do it in a different process, because I do the same thing. I have more of a monthly objective, and then I pull in resources, or I pull in hands-on activities on how I can layer that information enough to where I know that they securely and firmly and concretely know the concepts or the objectives that I want them to have on that specific topic.
And mine looks a little more weekly because it's going along with the content that we're learning that week for CC. And then there's that emphasis on heavy emphasis on memorization, which at this age is so critical. So, wow, this has been so full of great information. And I really think you could listen to this multiple times and have different takeaways every time.
Yeah, I can see that.
Thank you for sharing your heart for education and your passion. And like I said last time, if you have not followed Christina, you need to do that right now. So go follow Bloom and Blossom Conference and also Authentic Joy in the Journey. You will be blessed and encouraged. And until next time, happy learning. This episode of Follow the Leader Homeschool Education is brought to you by Command Family Medicine. Command Family Medicine is part of a cutting-edge movement called Direct Primary Care. They deal directly with their patients to help individuals and families take command of their health through increased access and affordable and transparent cost of care. With locations in Springfield and Branson, Command is serving the Ozarks. It is also brought to you by Nathan Keene with Alpha Realty. Nathan is excited to help you find your perfect home. He'll make the real estate process fun, stress-free, and focused on your goals. Whether you're buying or selling, he will guide you every step of the way. He will work to make your dreams a reality. You can find links to Nathan Keene Realty and Command Family Medicine in the show notes.